I was supposed to be in surgery right now, supposed to be lying on a cold operating table unconscious while a doctor cut into my body and removed pieces of me I would never get back. Instead, I'm sitting in a hospital parking lot at 5 in the morning, shaking, crying, reading text messages between my husband and his pregnant girlfriend. 12 years of marriage, exposed by one unlocked phone. His words are still burning in my brain. After her surgery, I'll finally be free. She'll be too weak to fight. By the time she heals, the divorce papers will be signed and this house will be ours. Ours. He said ours, meaning him and her, not him and me. The woman he's been sleeping with for 2.5 years while I worked double shifts to pay off his student loans, while I saved every penny for our future, while I believed every lie that came out of his mouth. And that surgery I canceled at 5 a.m., that was the best decision I ever made. Because what I found on that phone didn't just save my marriage, it saved my life. See, my husband Raymond thought he was smart, thought he had it all figured out. He was going to wait until I was recovering from major surgery, weak and vulnerable, then serve me with divorce papers, take the house I paid for, the savings I built, everything I worked for while he was out spending our money on another woman. He forgot one thing, though. I'm a forensic accountant. Finding hidden money and exposing liars is literally what I do for a living. And the second I saw those messages, I stopped being his wife. I became his worst nightmare. But before I tell you how I burned his whole world down using nothing but spreadsheets and receipts, let me tell you what I found. What he'd been hiding. What made me cancel a surgery I'd been waiting 3 months for. Because that second phone, it wasn't just about another woman. It was about $78,000 in secret credit card debt. In my name, without my signature, without my knowledge. It was about $45,000 he gambled away from our retirement savings while telling me the market was down. It was about $30,000 he sent to his girlfriend for baby furniture and apartment deposits from our joint account, listed as household expenses. And the house I put $95,000 down on with my grandmother's inheritance. He had already promised it to her. If this story is hitting close to home for you right now, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button, because by the end of this story, you're going to want to share it with every woman you know. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. And that like button, go ahead and smash it right now, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you look at everything. Now let me take you back to where it all started. 3 weeks before I found that phone. The day I found out my body was about to betray me and I had no idea my husband already had. My name is Denise Carter. I'm 38 years old, and 3 weeks before I found that phone, I was sitting in my doctor's office getting the worst news of my life. Well, what I thought was the worst news of my life at the time. The ultrasound images were on the screen. Black and white blobs that meant nothing to me but everything to the woman in the white coat sitting across from me. "Denise," she said, and I knew from her tone it wasn't good. "The fibroids have grown significantly since your last scan. The largest one is now the size of a grapefruit." I remember just nodding, like she was telling me about the weather. "We've tried medication. We've tried the less invasive procedures. At this point, a hysterectomy is really your best option." Hysterectomy. The word hung in the air between us like something heavy and final. I knew what it meant. No more periods, no more pain, but also no more children. Ever. I was 38 years old. Raymond and I had been married for 12 years. We'd always said we wanted kids. "Let's wait until we're stable," he'd say. "Let's pay off the loans first. Let's save up. Let's enjoy each other." I believed him. Every single time I believed him. And now here I was, sitting in a cold doctor's office, being told that the choice was about to be taken away from me completely. "When?" I asked. My voice didn't even sound like mine. "We can schedule you in 3 weeks. That gives you time to prepare, take some time off work, arrange for someone to help you during recovery." Recovery. 6 to 8 weeks. No lifting. No driving for the first 2 weeks. I would need help. I would need Raymond. I drove home in a daze that day, pulled into our driveway, the driveway of the house I had put $95,000 down on with the inheritance my grandmother left me. The house I paid the mortgage on every single month from my account, while Raymond's income went to who knows what. I sat in that car for 20 minutes trying to figure out how to tell my husband that I would never be able to give him children. When I finally walked inside, Raymond was on the couch watching basketball. His phone was in his hand. Not the regular phone, the other one. The one he said his company gave him for work calls. "Hey, babe," he said without looking up. "How was your appointment?" I sat down next to him. I told him everything. The fibroids, the surgery, the hysterectomy, the fact that after this there would be no babies, no pregnancy, no little versions of us running around. I expected him to be devastated. I expected him to cry. I expected him to hold me and tell me we would figure it out together. We could adopt. We could foster. We could be enough for each other. You know what he actually said? "Well, at least you won't have to deal with periods anymore, right?" And then he turned back to the game. I should have known right then. I should have seen it. But I told myself he was processing. I told myself men deal with things differently. I told myself he would come around once the shock wore off. I was so stupid. The next 2 weeks, Raymond was what I would call surface-level supportive. He asked how I was feeling. He reminded me to take my medications. He told our families about the surgery. But something was off. I could feel it in the way he looked at me, or didn't look at me. The way he was always on his phone, always texting, always stepping into the other room to take calls. "Work stuff," he'd say. "Big deal coming through. Sorry, babe." I believed him. I was too tired and too scared about my surgery to question anything. I was dealing with my own grief about the children I would never have. I didn't have energy left over to wonder why my husband was suddenly so busy. His mother came over the Sunday before my surgery. Lenora. That woman had never liked me. 14 years I'd known her, and she had never once told me I was good enough for her son. But she showed up with a casserole dish and a fake smile, talking about how she would help take care of me during my recovery. I remember thinking it was strange. Lenora offering to help Lenora, who once told me at Thanksgiving dinner that I was lucky Raymond settled for me. But I pushed the thought away. I told myself people change. I told myself maybe she finally accepted me as family. I was wrong about that too. That Sunday dinner, Raymond got a text that made him smile. Not the regular phone. The work phone. His mother glanced at him, glanced at the phone, and then glanced at me. And I swear I saw something pass between them. Something secretive. Something knowing. "Who's that?" I asked casually. "Just work," Raymond said, too quickly. "Client wants to reschedule a meeting." "On a Sunday night." He shrugged. "You know how it is in sales. Clients don't keep regular hours." Lenora changed the subject immediately, started asking about my surgery, when it was, how long I'd be in the hospital, when Raymond could go back to work. Looking back, I realized she was gathering intelligence. She was finding out exactly when I would be most vulnerable, when Raymond could make his move. But at the time, I just thought she was being unusually considerate. That was my life for those 3 weeks. Going to work, coming home, taking care of a household, preparing for major surgery, grieving children I would never have. And all the while, my husband was planning to leave me for his pregnant girlfriend the second the anesthesia wore off. 12 years I gave that man. 12 years of working double shifts so I could pay off his $67,000 in student loans. 12 years of cooking his dinners and washing his clothes and keeping his house. 12 years of putting his needs before mine. And he was counting down the days until he could throw me away like garbage. But I didn't know any of that yet. I was just a woman trying to prepare for surgery, trying to be strong, trying to believe that my husband would be there for me when I needed him most. The night before my surgery, I couldn't sleep. I was too nervous, too scared. I kept thinking about what could go wrong. What if I didn't wake up? What if there were complications? What if this was the last night I ever spent in this house? I got up around 2 in the morning to get some water. The house was dark and quiet. Raymond was asleep in our bed, snoring softly. And that's when I saw it. A light glowing from his jacket pocket hanging on the chair by the bedroom door. His work phone. The screen was lit up, and my whole world was about to fall apart. Before I tell you what I found on that phone, I need you to understand something. I need you to understand all the signs I missed, all the red flags I ignored, all the times my gut told me something was wrong and I chose to believe the lie instead of the truth. Because maybe if I say them out loud now, someone watching this will recognize them in their own life. And maybe they won't waste 12 years like I did. The work phone appeared about 6 months before my surgery. Raymond came home one day and said his company had issued him a new device. Corporate policy, he explained. They want to separate work communications from personal. Makes sense for legal reasons. I didn't question it. Why would I? He was in medical equipment sales, dealt with hospitals and doctors. It made sense that there would be regulations about communication. But that phone was never out of his sight. Not once. He slept with it under his pillow, took it to the bathroom every single time. Even when he showered, that phone was sitting on the counter where he could see it through the glass door. I used to joke about it. Raymond, you're more attached to that thing than you are to me. He would laugh. Baby, if I don't stay on top of work stuff, we don't eat. You know how competitive sales is. I let it go. Every single time I let it go. Then there were the business trips. Raymond had always traveled some for work, maybe once a month, sometimes twice. But in that last year, it ramped up, way up. Conference in Miami. Training session in Atlanta. Big client meeting in Charlotte. They're flying me out, putting me up nice. Could be a huge commission if I close this. He was gone 3, sometimes 4 days at a time. And when he came back, something was different. He would be distant, distracted. He'd shower the second he walked in the door before he even said hello to me. And he smelled different. Not bad different. Just different. A cologne I didn't recognize. A scent that wasn't his usual. They had samples at the hotel, he said when I asked once. I ran out of mine, so I used theirs. I believed him. One time I found a receipt in his pants pocket when I was doing laundry, a restaurant I'd never heard of, $247. Client dinner, he said. You know how it is, gotta wine and dine them to close the deal. The receipt said 2 glasses of champagne, 2 entrees, 1 dessert to share. That's a lot for a client dinner, I said. It was a big client. Anyway, it all goes on the expense report. Company pays for it. If the company was paying, why was the receipt in his personal pants? I didn't ask. I should have asked. The money was the biggest red flag, the one I feel stupidest about missing. We had a joint account, had since we got married. My paycheck went in, his paycheck went in, bills came out. Simple, except the numbers never quite added up. I make good money. Senior CPA at a decent-sized firm. After 14 years, I was pulling in just over $140,000 a year. Raymond made about $120,000 as a regional sales manager. Combined, we should have been living very comfortably, but our savings account never seemed to grow the way it should. Babe, we should have about $180,000 saved by now. I told him once looking at our accounts. We only have $135,000. He didn't even look up from his phone. I moved some to a high-yield savings account, better interest rate. I told you about this, remember? He hadn't told me. I would have remembered that. Where's the account? I asked. I don't see it linked to anything. It's with a different bank. I'll set up the link this weekend. He never did, and I never followed up. I trusted him. He was my husband. Why would he lie to me about our own money, $45,000? That's what was missing. $45,000 he had gambled away on sports betting apps while telling me the market was down. Then there was us, our marriage, our intimacy. We used to be close, used to laugh together, talk for hours, make love like we actually wanted to be with each other. That changed too, slowly. So slowly I barely noticed. I'm tired tonight, babe. Long day, maybe tomorrow. I'm not really in the mood. I blamed myself. Told myself maybe it was the fibroids making me less attractive. Maybe I'd let myself go. Maybe I needed to try harder, be sexier, make more effort. I bought new lingerie. He barely looked at me. I suggested a vacation, just the 2 of us. He said work was too busy. I asked if something was wrong. He said I was being paranoid. You're always looking for problems, he told me once. Why can't you just be happy with what we have? What we had was a lie. I just didn't know it yet. His mother knew. That was maybe the cruelest part. Lenora knew everything. I started noticing how she would smirk whenever Raymond's work phone buzzed, how she'd give him these little looks when she thought I wasn't paying attention, how she suddenly had so many opinions about our marriage. Raymond works so hard. You should appreciate him more, Denise. Maybe if you'd given him children by now, he wouldn't be so stressed. My son deserves a wife who takes care of him properly. She was preparing me, I realize now, softening me up for what was coming, making me feel like I was the problem, like I was failing him, so that when he left me, I would believe it was my fault, and his brother Curtis, always borrowing money, $15,000 over 4 years, never paid back a dime. Family helps family, Denise. Raymond, tell your wife to stop being so uptight about money. They were all in on it, the whole family. They all knew what Raymond was doing, what he was planning, and they looked me in my face every Sunday dinner and smiled. If I sound angry, it's because I am. Even now, over a year later, I feel the rage bubbling up when I think about how stupid they made me look, how blind they thought I was. But I wasn't blind. I was trusting. I was loyal. I was being the wife I thought I was supposed to be. And on the night before my surgery, all that trust was about to be blown to pieces. Because I picked up that phone. That work phone that was always face down, always locked, always guarded like it contained state secrets. And for the first time in 6 months, it wasn't locked. Raymond had made a mistake. One careless moment, one unlocked screen, and that was all I needed. It was 2:17 in the morning. I remember because I looked at the clock on my nightstand right before I got up. My surgery was scheduled for 6 a.m. I had to be at the hospital by 4:30. Pre-op procedures, IV lines, paperwork, all that medical stuff they need to do before they can put you under. I wasn't supposed to eat or drink anything after midnight. Hospital rules. So when I woke up with a dry mouth and a racing heart, I knew I couldn't have water. I just lay there in the dark listening to Raymond snore beside me. My mind wouldn't stop running. What if something went wrong? What if there were complications? What if this was it? I kept thinking about my mama and how devastated she would be if I didn't wake up. I thought about my job, all the clients who depended on me, the cases that would sit unfinished if I died on that table. I didn't think about Raymond. Isn't that funny? The night before my surgery, I was worried about my mama and my job, not my husband. Maybe some part of me already knew. At 2:17, I gave up on sleep. I got out of bed as quietly as I could, trying not to wake Raymond. He didn't even stir, just kept snoring like a man without a single care in the world. I walked toward the door, and that's when I saw it. A faint blue glow, coming from his jacket pocket, the jacket he'd tossed over the chair when he came home that night, his work phone. The screen was lit up. Someone had just sent a message. I should have kept walking. I should have gone to the bathroom, splashed some water on my face, maybe sat in the living room until my nerves calmed down. But something made me stop. Something made me reach into that pocket. Call it intuition. Call it God whispering in my ear. Call it a woman who's been lied to finally opening her eyes. I pulled out the phone, and it was unlocked. Raymond had forgotten to lock it. For the first time in 6 months, that phone was just sitting there, open, unguarded, all its secrets exposed. The screen showed a text conversation. The name at the top made my blood run cold. M with a heart emoji. M and a little red heart. The most recent message was from 5 minutes ago. Can't sleep. Thinking about you. About us. About our baby. Our baby. My hands started shaking. My vision got blurry. I think I stopped breathing for a second. I scrolled up. Message after message after message. Months of conversation. Years of conversation. 2.5 years of lies laid out in front of me in black and white. Baby, I can't wait until this is over. After her surgery, you'll finally be free. That was from M. From Monica. The woman my husband had been sleeping with while I paid his loans and kept his house and believed every word he said. Raymond's response made me want to throw up. I know. Just a few more weeks. Then it's you, me, and our baby. The way it was always supposed to be. The way it was always supposed to be, like I was just a mistake, a detour, something he was waiting to get rid of. She has no idea, Monica had asked. None. She thinks I'm the perfect husband. She thinks I'm going to be there holding her hand during surgery. She has no clue what's coming. He added a laughing emoji. A laughing emoji, like destroying my life was funny to him. I kept reading. I couldn't stop. Every message was a knife. Every word cut deeper. They talked about the house, my house, the house my grandmother's inheritance paid for. What about the house? Monica asked in one conversation. It's ours, baby. I mean, she paid for most of it, but my name's on the deed. My lawyer already checked. 50-50 split minimum. Could get more if I play it right. And the surgery? Perfect timing, actually. She'll be recovering for weeks. Too weak to fight. Too drugged up to think straight. By the time she heals, the divorce papers will already be signed. I had to sit down. Right there on the floor of my bedroom with my husband asleep 5 feet away, I sank to the ground with his phone in my hands. But I wasn't done. I kept scrolling. I needed to know everything. The financial stuff was next, the stuff that made me realize this wasn't just an affair. This was theft. Sent you $2,500 for the nursery. Get whatever you need. That was Raymond, $2,500. From our joint account, the account I funded with my paychecks. How? Monica asked. I thought you said things were tight. Denise doesn't check the credit cards closely. I opened 2 new ones. She doesn't even know they exist. In your name, in both our names. Her credit's better, so the limits are higher. And if she ever finds out she's responsible for half anyway, win-win for me. Win-win for him. I checked more conversations, found more credit cards, 3 of them. $78,000 in debt, all opened in the last 18 months, all with my name, my social security number, my signature forged. While I was working 12-hour days to provide for us, he was stealing my identity and racking up debt I didn't know about. There were photos too. Monica, pretty young, about 32, long braids, bright smile, baby bump visible in the more recent ones, 4 months pregnant, with my husband's child, the child I would never be able to have. I don't know how long I sat there on that floor. It could have been minutes. It could have been an hour. Time stopped meaning anything, but at some point, something shifted inside me. The crying stopped. The shaking stopped. Something cold settled into my chest. Something hard and sharp and clear. Raymond thought I was weak, thought I was just some naive little wife who would sign whatever papers he put in front of me and disappear quietly. He forgot what I do for a living. I'm a forensic accountant. I trace money for a living. I find fraud. I expose liars. I take apart financial crimes piece by piece until there's nowhere left to hide. Raymond had just handed me all the evidence I needed to destroy him. I picked myself up off that floor. I went to the kitchen. I grabbed my laptop from my work bag. And I started doing what I do best. I screenshotted every single message, every photo, every incriminating word. I checked our bank accounts, found the transfers to Monica, found the cash withdrawals that matched his gambling apps. I pulled credit reports, found the cards he'd opened. $78,000 of debt I never agreed to. At 4 a.m., 2 hours before I was supposed to be on an operating table, I called the hospital. I need to reschedule my surgery. Ma'am, are you sure this has been scheduled for weeks? Your doctor cleared her whole morning. Something came up, a family emergency. I'll call back to reschedule. I hung up. Then I looked back at my bedroom door. Through the crack, I could see Raymond still sleeping, still snoring, still thinking he had won. He was about to find out just how wrong he was. I had canceled my surgery, not because I wasn't sick, not because I wasn't scared, but because I was not about to be unconscious and vulnerable while this man made his moves against me. He wanted me weak. He was about to find out exactly how strong I could be. The sun would be coming up in a few hours. Raymond would wake up expecting to drive his devoted wife to the hospital, expecting to play the supportive husband while secretly counting down the days until he could serve me divorce papers. Instead, he was going to wake up to a woman who knew everything, and by the time I was done with him, he wouldn't have a house. He wouldn't have savings. He wouldn't have a penny of the life I built. He would have nothing. Because I don't just find hidden money, I take it back. And Raymond Carter was about to learn what happens when you try to steal from a woman who knows where all the bodies are buried. This was the end of his perfect little plan, and the beginning of mine. The sun came up around 6:30 that morning. I was still sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open, surrounded by printouts and screenshots and evidence of my husband's betrayal. I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, hadn't even changed out of my nightgown. But I wasn't tired. I was running on pure adrenaline and rage, the kind of energy that comes when you realize everything you believed was a lie. I heard Raymond's footsteps upstairs around 7, the bathroom door, water running, him getting ready for the day like it was any other morning. He thought he was going to drive me to the hospital, thought he was going to sit in the waiting room pretending to be worried while texting his pregnant girlfriend updates, thought he was going to come home to an empty house and start packing my things while I recovered from surgery. Instead, he was about to walk downstairs and face a woman who knew every single secret he thought he'd hidden. I closed my laptop, gathered my papers into a neat stack, poured myself a cup of coffee I couldn't drink because of the surgery prep rules. Then I remembered there was no surgery. I could drink whatever I wanted, so I sat there sipping coffee, waiting for my husband to come downstairs. He appeared in the kitchen doorway at 7:23, dressed in slacks and a nice shirt, ready to play the supportive husband role. "Babe, what are you doing down here? We need to leave in like 20 minutes. Did you sleep at all?" I looked at him, really looked at him. This man I had loved for 14 years. This man I had given everything to. This man who was planning to destroy me while I was unconscious on an operating table. "Surgery's canceled," I said. My voice came out flat, emotionless. I didn't even recognize it as my own. Raymond's face did something interesting. For just a split second, I saw panic, then confusion. Then he rearranged his features into concern. "Canceled. What do you mean canceled, baby? You've been waiting 3 months for this. What happened?" "Equipment issue at the hospital. They called early this morning, rescheduled for next week." The lie came out smooth, easy. I'd had all night to practice it. Raymond's shoulders relaxed. I watched the tension drain out of him. He was relieved. I could see it. Not disappointed for me. Not worried about my health. Relieved that his timeline was still intact. "Oh, well, that gives you more time to prepare. Right. Silver lining. Silver lining. My surgery getting canceled was a silver lining for him." "Sure," I said. "Silver lining." He walked over to pour himself coffee, checked his regular phone, then his work phone. His back was to me, so he didn't see my jaw clench when that second phone came out of his pocket. "I should probably still take the day off," he said, not looking at me. "Keep you company since you were all prepared to be gone today anyway." "No need. I'm actually going to go to my mama's house. Spend the day with her. She was so worried about the surgery. Might as well let her know I'm okay in person." "You sure I don't mind staying home?" "I bet you don't," I thought. "I bet you'd love to stay home and text Monica about how the timeline got pushed back a week." "I'm sure. Go to work. I'll be fine." He kissed me on the forehead. His lips felt like a brand, like something dirty touching my skin. "Okay, babe. Call me if you need anything. Love you." "Love you." He said love you while his pregnant girlfriend's texts were sitting in his pocket. "Love you too," I said, and I smiled, because I needed him to think everything was normal. I needed him completely unsuspecting while I made my moves. Raymond left for work at 8:15. I watched his car pull out of the driveway from the kitchen window, watched until his taillights disappeared around the corner. Then I picked up my phone and started making calls. First call Patricia, my best friend since college. We met in our freshman accounting class and had been inseparable ever since. Pat was an HR director now, sharp as a razor and twice as cutting. If anyone would know how to handle this strategically, it was her. "Girl, why are you calling me? Shouldn't you be at the hospital?" "Surgery got canceled. Pat, I need you. Emergency meeting. Can you get free?" "Denise, what's wrong? You sound different." I found Raymond's other phone last night. Silence on the line. Then, "I'm on my way." "Where?" "Rochelle's salon, back room. 10 o'clock. Second call. Tamara, my cousin, family law attorney. been through her own ugly divorce 5 years ago when she caught her husband with his secretary. She knew every trick in the book because she'd seen them all. Tam, it's Denise. I need your help. What kind of help? The kind you get paid for, but this one's personal. Raymond. How'd you know? Honey, I've been waiting for this call for 2 years. I'll clear my whole day. Where do you want me? Third call, Sharon. Church friend. Real estate agent. Knew property law inside and out. If Raymond thought he was taking my house, Sharon would know exactly how to stop him. Fourth call, Mama. Because no matter how old you get when your world falls apart, you need your mama. Baby. What's wrong? Why aren't you in surgery? Mama, I need to come over later. I need to tell you something, but first I have to handle some business. Denise Marie Carter, you tell me right now what's going on. Raymond's been cheating for years, and he's got a woman pregnant, and he was planning to leave me while I was recovering from surgery and take everything. The silence on Mama's end was heavy. I could hear her breathing, could almost hear her blood pressure rising. That no-good, trifling, sorry excuse for a man. I knew it. I knew something was wrong with him. Baby, you come to me when you're ready. Your room is always here. And Denise, yes, Mama. Whatever you're about to do to him, make it hurt. That's my mama. 62 years old, retired schoolteacher, Bible-reading churchwoman, and she just told me to make it hurt. I was planning to do exactly that. By 9:45, I had gathered all my evidence into a folder. Screenshots printed, bank statements downloaded, credit reports pulled, everything organized the way I organize case files at work. Raymond thought he was dealing with a naive wife who trusted too much. He was about to meet Denise Carter, forensic accountant, and she didn't play games. Rochelle's salon was on the east side of the city, tucked between a nail shop and a laundromat. She'd been running it for 15 years, built it up from 1 chair to 6, and the back room had seen more emergency meetings than I could count. Baby mama drama, divorce papers, job losses, family deaths. That back room was where we came when life fell apart and we needed to put the pieces back together. Today, it was my turn. I pulled into the parking lot at 9:55. Pat's car was already there. So was Tamara's. Sharon pulled in right behind me. Rochelle met me at the back door. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug without saying a word. "They're all inside," she said. I closed the shop for the morning, told my girls it was a family emergency, which it is. The back room was set up like always, folding chairs in a circle, coffee on the table, box of tissues nearby. Rochelle knew what these meetings were like. Pat stood up when I walked in. Tamara was already taking notes on a legal pad. Sharon had her laptop open. "Sit down, Denise," Pat said, "and tell us everything." So I did. I started from the beginning. The work phone that appeared 6 months ago, the business trips that got more frequent, the money that never quite added up, the intimacy that disappeared, the way Lenora would smirk whenever that phone buzzed. Then I told them about last night. The surgery that was supposed to happen in a few hours, the sleepless night, the glowing phone in Raymond's jacket pocket. "It was unlocked," I said. For the first time in 6 months, it was unlocked. I pulled out my phone, showed them the screenshots, the messages between Raymond and Monica, the plans to leave me while I recovered from surgery, the promises about the house and the money and the future they were building on the ashes of my life. The room was silent when I finished. Pat was shaking her head slowly. Tamara's pen had stopped moving. Sharon had her hand over her mouth. Rochelle was gripping the armrest of her chair so hard her knuckles were white. "That sorry, no-good, trifling piece of trash," Rochelle said finally. "After everything you did for him, after you paid off his loans and bought his house and funded his failed businesses, he was going to do this to you while you were in surgery. He was going to wait until I was too weak to fight," I said. Those were his exact words. Too weak to fight. Pat leaned forward. "Okay, we're past the point of being angry. We can be angry later. Right now, we need to be strategic. Denise, what do you want to happen?" I'd been thinking about this all night. Through all the shock and the pain and the rage, I'd been calculating, planning, building a case in my head. I want to keep my house. I want to keep my savings. I want him to pay for every penny he stole from me. and I want him gone, completely, permanently, gone. Tamara finally spoke. Her voice was calm, professional. This was the lawyer talking now, not my cousin. Let's start with the basics. The house, whose name is on the deed set, both of ours, joint tenancy. And the down payment? Mine. $95,000 from my grandmother's inheritance. I have the records. The check was written from my personal account. Tamara wrote something down. And the mortgage payments, all me, auto pay from my account, every single month for the last 8 years. Has Raymond ever contributed to the mortgage? I thought about it, really thought. No, not once. I handle all the household bills. His income was supposed to go to savings and his personal expenses. Supposed to? I found out last night it was going to gambling apps and his girlfriend. Tamara nodded slowly. Okay. Maryland is an equitable distribution state. That means assets get divided fairly, but not necessarily 50-50. Given that you provided the down payment from separate property and made all the mortgage payments, we have a strong argument for a much larger share. How much larger? Pat asked. If I can prove everything Denise is saying, 70% minimum, maybe 80 or 85. Sharon jumped in. I can help with the property angle. I've seen these cases before. When one spouse contributes significantly more, especially when the down payment was inherited, money courts take that very seriously. What about the debt? I asked. The credit cards he opened in my name. Tamara's eyes went sharp. Tell me about that. I pulled out the credit reports I'd printed that morning. 3 cards, all opened in the last 18 months, all with my social security number, all with balances that made my stomach turn. $34,000 on the first one, $28,000 on the second, $16,000 on the third. Tamara grabbed the papers, scanned them. Her face got harder with each page. Denise, did you sign applications for these cards? No, I didn't even know they existed until last night. He forged your signature. He must have. I never signed anything. Tamara looked at me dead in the eyes. That's not just divorce grounds. That's criminal fraud. We're talking felony charges. He could go to prison for this. The room went quiet again. Prison. The word hung in the air like something heavy and final. Rochelle broke the silence. Good. Let him rot. Wait, Pat said. Before we go nuclear, let's think about this strategically. If we press criminal charges, what happens to the divorce? Tamara considered this. It could complicate things. If he's facing criminal charges, he might fight harder in the divorce. Try to drag it out, make it ugly. On the other hand, the threat of criminal charges gives us leverage. We can offer to not press charges if he signs over everything quietly. Blackmail, Sharon asked. Negotiation, Tamara corrected. There's a difference. We're not threatening to lie about him. We're offering to show mercy if he cooperates. I thought about Raymond in prison. Orange jumpsuit, bars on the windows, 3 meals a day in a cafeteria with real criminals. Part of me wanted that. Wanted him to suffer the way I was suffering. But a bigger part of me just wanted this to be over. Wanted him gone. Wanted my life back. What's the fastest way to end this? I asked. The fastest way to get him out of my house and out of my life. Tamara flipped to a new page on her legal pad. Here's what we're going to do. Today, we document everything. Every piece of evidence you have, we organize and copy. We create a timeline. We build a case file that's airtight. Tomorrow, I file for divorce. Emergency petition. I'll request an asset freeze so he can't move any more money. I'll request exclusive use of the marital home based on his financial misconduct. By the end of the week, he'll be served, and when he is, we'll have so much evidence against him that his only smart move will be to sign whatever we put in front of him. Pat nodded. What do you need from the rest of us? Sharon, I need you to pull comps on the house. Current market value. We need to know exactly what we're fighting for. On it. Pat, can you look into his employment situation? If that work phone is really from his company, we need to know. If it's not, that's another lie we can use. I can make some calls. Carefully. Rochelle. Rochelle looked up. What do you need, baby? Tamara smiled. Keep the coffee coming. We're going to be here a while. I looked around at these women, my sister circle, my chosen family, women who had dropped everything on a Wednesday morning to help me put my life back together. "Thank you," I said. My voice cracked for the first time all day. "All of you. Thank you." Pat reached over and squeezed my hand. "Girl, this is what we do. You'd do the same for any of us." She was right. I would. We all would. That's what sisters do. Rochelle stood up. "All right, enough with the emotions. We got work to do. Denise, show us everything you found. Every text, every transaction, every lie. Let's nail this fool to the wall." I opened my laptop, spread my papers across the table, and we got to work. Raymond thought he was running a con on a naive wife. He had no idea he was up against a forensic accountant, a divorce attorney, an HR director, a real estate expert, and the most loyal friends a woman could ask for. He never stood a chance. Let me tell you what 14 years as a forensic accountant teaches you. It teaches you that money never lies. People lie. Documents lie. But money always tells the truth. You just have to know how to read it. For the next 6 hours, that back room at Rochelle's salon became my war room. Papers everywhere, laptops open, calculators running, and me in the center of it all doing what I do best, following the money. I started with the joint account, our main checking and savings, the money that was supposed to be ours together. "Okay," I said, pulling up statements on my laptop. "Let's look at deposits first." I went back 5 years. That's as far as the online records went. If I needed more, I could subpoena them later. My deposits were easy to track. Same amount every 2 weeks, like clockwork. My salary, bonuses twice a year. A consistent pattern of a woman who went to work every day and deposited every paycheck into the family account. Then I looked at Raymond's deposits. "This can't be right," Sharon said, looking over my shoulder. But it was right. The numbers don't lie. In the last 5 years, Raymond had deposited a total of $84,216 into our joint accounts. In those same 5 years, I had deposited $647,000. I did the math in my head. Raymond contributed about 13% of our joint income. 13%. And he wanted 50% of everything in the divorce. "Where's the rest of his money going?" Pat asked. "He makes good money, $120,000 a year, right? That's $600,000 over 5 years. Where's the other $500,000? That's when I started digging into the withdrawals. Raymond had a pattern. Every month, like clockwork, there were cash withdrawals. ATM pulls of $300 here, $500 there. They added up. $23,000 in cash withdrawals last year alone, I said. And that doesn't include the transfers. Transfers to where? I pulled up the detail. Transfers to Venmo, transfers to PayPal, transfers to something called DraftKings. Sports betting, Tamara said grimly. That's a gambling app. I kept digging, found 2 more. FanDuel, BetMGM, all with regular deposits from our joint account. Over 3 years, Raymond had moved $45,000 into gambling apps. $45,000 of our savings gone. Bet on football games and basketball tournaments and whatever else he threw money at. "Did you know about this?" Rochelle asked softly. I shook my head. He told me the market was down, that our savings weren't growing because of bad investment returns. I believed him. I felt sick. $45,000. That was a year of my salary, gone. Poof, because my husband had a gambling addiction he never told me about. But that wasn't even the worst part. "Show us the Monica transfers," Tamara said. "I need to document everything for the court." I pulled up another set of transactions, transfers to an external account. Always the same name, M. Hayes. $2,500 a month, every month, for 18 months. "That's $45,000, Pat said. Actually, it was worse than that. I found additional transfers, lump sums, $3,000 here, $5,000 there, all to M. Hayes. Total transfers to Monica Hayes over 2.5 years, $52,400. $52,000 of my money, sent to the woman my husband was sleeping with, to set up her apartment, buy her furniture, pay for her prenatal vitamins and baby clothes. I paid for my replacement. That thought hit me so hard I had to stop, had to breathe, had to remind myself that crying wouldn't help. Only evidence would help. "Keep going," Tamara said gently. "I know it hurts, but we need everything." So I kept going. The credit cards were next. The $78,000 in debt that Raymond opened in my name without my knowledge. I pulled the statements, analyzed every charge, built a spreadsheet showing exactly where that money went. Card $134,000. Luxury hotel stays, the Ritz-Carlton in Miami, the Four Seasons in Atlanta, the W in Charlotte, all cities he'd had business trips to. Expensive restaurants. I recognized some of the names, places with $100 steaks and $200 bottles of wine. A jewelry store, 3 charges, $8,000 total. That one stopped me. $8,000 in jewelry. I had never received $8,000 worth of jewelry from Raymond. Not even close. Monica was wearing my jewelry. Jewelry bought with my credit, my name, my future. Card 2, $28,000. Furniture stores, a crib, a changing table, a rocking chair. Baby boutiques, clothes and blankets and toys. An apartment deposit, first and last month's rent, $3,800. He was setting up a nursery, a whole life, for the baby he was having with another woman. On my credit card, $316,000. More hotels, more restaurants, a spa day, $800. Designer handbags, 2 of them, $4,200 total. Lingerie. Victoria's Secret, $600. He bought lingerie for another woman, with my credit card. While I was home wondering why he didn't touch me anymore, the total damage was almost impossible to comprehend when I laid it all out. Gambling losses, $45,000. Transfers to Monica, $52,400. Credit card debt, $78,000. Missing deposits from his income, $500,000 plus. Raymond had stolen, lost, or hidden over $675,000. $675,000. That's not a betrayal. That's a heist. "Denise," Tamara's voice pulled me back. "I need you to focus. This is good. This is really, really good for our case." Good. He stole $600,000 from me. And now we can prove it. Every dollar, every transaction, every lie. When we walk into court with this evidence, no judge in the world will side with him. She was right. I knew she was right. But knowing it and feeling okay about it were 2 different things. "What about the house?" Sharon asked. "Let's look at that too." The house was the biggest asset. The thing Raymond thought was his ace in the hole. His name was on the deed. He figured that meant half. He figured wrong. I pulled out the closing documents from 8 years ago. The purchase price was $385,000. We'd put down $95,000. "That down payment," I said, $95,000, "came from an inheritance check from my grandmother. Here's the canceled check, written from my personal account, before we were even married." Tamara highlighted that. "Separate property? Non-marital asset. This is huge." And the mortgage payments. I showed her 8 years of statements. Every payment, every single one, coming from my personal checking account. "He never paid a dime," Sharon confirmed. "Not one mortgage payment. Not one. I handled the bills. Apparently he handled gambling and girlfriends." "Current value of the house?" Tamara asked. Sharon had pulled the comps. "Similar houses in the neighborhood are selling for $475 to $490. Let's call it $480 to be conservative. $480,000 minus the remaining mortgage of $160,000. That was $320,000 in equity. Equity that Raymond thought he was going to split with me. Equity that I had paid for entirely by myself." "Based on everything I'm seeing," Tamara said slowly, "I think we can argue for 85% of the house equity, maybe more. You provided the down payment from inherited funds. You made every single mortgage payment. He contributed nothing and actually depleted marital assets through gambling and adultery. 85% of $320,000. That was $272,000. Raymond's share $48,000, if that, and that was before we hit him with the fraud charges for the credit cards. One more thing, Pat said. She'd been quiet for a while working on her laptop. I made some calls about his company. And, Pat smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. That work phone, the one his company supposedly issued him, I talked to a friend in HR at medical equipment companies. She made some discreet inquiries. And, his company doesn't issue personal phones. They have a BYOD policy. Bring your own device. That phone was never from his employer. He bought it himself. Another lie. Another piece of evidence. Also, Pat continued, I had her look into his expense reports, the business trips he supposedly took. Half of them don't show up in his company's travel records. He was logging client meetings and conference attendance that never happened. Time theft, Tamara said. Expense fraud. If his company finds out, he's fired. Should we tell them? Rochelle asked. I thought about it. Thought about Raymond losing his job on top of everything else. Thought about how much harder it would be for him to pay me back if he was unemployed. Not yet, I said. Let's keep that in our pocket. Use it if we need it. Tamara nodded approvingly. Strategic. I like it. By 5 o'clock that afternoon, we had a complete picture. Every dollar Raymond had stolen, hidden, or lost. Every lie he had told. Every piece of evidence that would destroy him in court. I sat back and looked at the stack of papers, the timeline, the spreadsheets, the case file that was now thicker than some of the fraud cases I'd worked professionally. What's the total damage? Rochelle asked. I read from my summary sheet. Marital assets, he owes me $320,000 in house equity minus his share, plus $52,000 in transfers to Monica that should be returned to the marital estate, plus $45,000 in gambling losses that courts consider dissipation of assets, plus $78,000 in fraudulent debt that he alone should be responsible for. I did the final calculation. Total claim $495,000, minimum, and that's before we add pain and suffering, before we add fraud damages, before we add anything for the 12 years of marriage he wasted. The room was silent. He thought he was going to take everything, I said. He thought he was going to leave me with nothing while I recovered from surgery. He thought he was the smart one. I closed my laptop. He was wrong. That night, I went to Mama's house instead of going home. I couldn't face Raymond. Not yet. Not until I was ready. If I saw him right then with everything I knew, I might have done something I'd regret, and I wasn't about to catch a charge over that man. He wasn't worth it. Mama met me at the door with a hug that lasted a full minute. She didn't say anything, just held me, let me breathe. Your room's ready, she finally said. Same as always. My childhood bedroom. Same quilt on the bed, same pictures on the wall, same feeling of safety that I hadn't felt in years. I brought everything, I told her. All the evidence. I need to store it somewhere he can't find it. Mama nodded. Your father's safe in the closet. Combination's still the same. We spent the evening going through documents, Mama reading over my shoulder, shaking her head, clicking her tongue. That boy, she said. That sorry, no good boy. I knew something was wrong with him. Remember what I told you at your wedding? I remembered. Mama had pulled me aside right before I walked down the aisle. Baby, it's not too late to change your mind. Something about his eyes. He don't look at you like a man in love. He looks at you like a man who found something useful. I should have listened. Instead, I got defensive. Told her she was just having trouble letting go. Told her Raymond loved me. 12 years later, here I was, sitting in her house, proving her right. I'm sorry, Mama. I should have listened. She put her hand on my face. Baby, you can't spend your life looking backward. What matters is what you do now, and from what I'm seeing, you're about to handle your business like the woman I raised. That night, I slept in my childhood bed for the first time in 20 years, and somehow I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, Tamara called at 8 sharp. I'm filing the divorce petition today. Emergency motion. We're requesting immediate asset freeze and exclusive possession of the marital home. What do I need to do? Stay away from Raymond. Don't confront him. Don't let him know you know anything. The element of surprise is our biggest weapon right now. How long until he gets served? I can have a process server there by Friday. That gives us 2 more days to prepare. 2 more days. 2 more days of pretending everything was normal. I could do that. I'd been pretending for 12 years. What was 2 more days? That afternoon, I went back to our house while Raymond was at work. I needed clothes. I needed my important documents. And I needed to make some changes before he knew what was coming. First, the bank accounts. I walked into our bank branch with a folder full of evidence and asked to speak with a manager. Explained that I had concerns about unauthorized activity on our joint account. Showed them the transfers to Monica, the gambling app deposits. The pattern of behavior that suggested my husband was depleting our assets. The manager was sympathetic. A black woman about my age. She'd probably seen this before. "I can't freeze the account without both parties present," she said carefully, "but I can help you open a new individual account, and I can redirect your direct deposit to that new account." That's exactly what I wanted. By the end of that meeting, I had a new checking account in my name only. My next paycheck would go there instead of the joint account. Raymond could keep draining the joint account all he wanted. He wouldn't be touching my money anymore. Next, the credit cards. I filed fraud reports with all 3 credit bureaus, explained that my husband had opened cards in my name without my authorization, showed them my evidence. "We'll put a fraud alert on your credit file," the representative said, "and we'll launch investigations into each card. If you can prove you didn't apply for them, you may not be liable for the debt." May not be liable. That meant $78,000 in debt might not be my problem. It would be Raymond's. All of it. Next, the house. I couldn't change the locks. Not yet. Not until I had legal authority. But I could document everything. I walked through every room with my phone recording video, the furniture I'd bought, the appliances I'd paid for, the art on the walls that was mine before we got married. I took photos of his belongings too, his golf clubs, his collection of watches, his designer shoes, all things he'd bought with money that should have gone to our savings. Evidence, evidence, evidence. Everything was evidence now. While I was there, I checked his home office, the desk where he sat when he claimed to be working from home. What I found made me sick. A drawer full of receipts he'd forgotten to throw away. Hotel receipts, restaurant receipts, a receipt from a jewelry store for a $3,000 engagement ring. An engagement ring. He had bought Monica an engagement ring while he was still married to me, while I was preparing for surgery. He was planning to propose to another woman. I took pictures of everything, added it to the file. Another piece of evidence, another nail in his coffin. Before I left, I made one more stop, the guest room closet where Raymond kept his important documents, his birth certificate, his passport, his car title. And there at the bottom of a box, I found something interesting. Bank statements from an account I'd never seen. An account at a completely different bank. In his name only. Balance, $47,312. He had a secret savings account while telling me we couldn't afford a vacation, while I was working double shifts to build our future. He had been squirreling away money in an account I knew nothing about. $47,000. That was supposed to be our money, our future, our retirement. He was planning to walk away with it, start his new life with Monica. Let me think we had nothing when really he'd been hiding assets the whole time. I took pictures of every statement, every deposit, every transaction. Then I put everything back exactly where I found it. Raymond couldn't know I'd been there, couldn't know what I knew. 2 more days, just 2 more days of pretending. On Friday morning, I positioned myself perfectly. I told Raymond I was going to spend the day with Mama, that I was still anxious about the surgery being rescheduled and wanted some comfort. He seemed relieved, probably wanted me out of the way so he could text Monica in peace. "Take your time, babe," he said. "I'll probably be late tonight anyway. Work dinner." Work dinner. Right. More like hotel room with Monica. "Okay," I said. Kissed him on the cheek. "Love you." The last time I would ever say those words to him, I drove to Mama's house, called Tamara, called Pat, called Sharon and Rochelle. "It's happening today," Tamara confirmed. "Process server will be at his office at 2 o'clock. I arranged it that way on purpose. He'll be served in front of his coworkers. Maximum embarrassment. At 2:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Tamara. It's done. He's been served. 2 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Raymond calling. Raymond texting. Raymond calling again. What the hell is this? Denise, answer your phone. This is a mistake, right? Tell me this is a mistake. I didn't answer, just watched the texts roll in, watched him panic, watched his perfect little plan fall apart. He had thought he was so smart, thought he had it all figured out. Serve her with divorce papers when she's recovering from surgery. Take the house, take the money, walk away clean. Instead, he got served at his job, in front of everyone, with a divorce petition that listed every crime he'd committed, every dollar he'd stolen, every lie he'd told, and attached to that petition was an emergency motion for exclusive possession of the marital home. By 5 o'clock that evening, I had a court order in my hand. Raymond was not to enter the property until further notice. I had legal authority to change the locks. I drove to our house, called a locksmith, had every lock changed while the sun was still up. Then I stood in my living room. My house, the house my grandmother's inheritance paid for, the house I had earned with 14 years of work. Raymond's key wouldn't work anymore. His clothes were packed in boxes by the garage, his golf clubs were on the front porch, and taped to the door was a copy of the court order along with a note in my handwriting. You wanted me out in 3 days. I'm giving you 3 hours. Pick up your things before the sprinklers come on. I went inside, locked the door, poured myself a glass of wine, and waited, because the confrontation was coming. Raymond would show up. He would rage and threaten and try to intimidate me. But this time I was ready. This time I wasn't the trusting wife who believed every lie. This time I was the woman who'd spent a week building a case that would destroy him, and I couldn't wait to see his face when he realized he'd lost everything. He showed up at 6:45. I heard his car screech into the driveway, heard the door slam, heard him stomping up the walkway like a man about to start a war. Then I heard the key in the lock, heard him jiggle it, try again, curse. Denise, Denise, open this door. I was sitting in the living room with my wine. Tamara was there too, just in case. We'd anticipated this, prepared for it. Denise, I know you're in there. Open this damn door. I walked to the door, spoke through it without opening. Raymond, I know you got the papers. Your key doesn't work anymore because I changed the locks. Per the court order, you're not allowed inside. Court order? Court order, you can't kick me out of my own house. Actually, I can. The order's taped to the door. Read Section 3. You're prohibited from entering the premises until the divorce hearing. I heard paper rustling, him reading, then more cursing. This is insane. This is my house. My name is on the deed. Your name is on the deed of a house you never paid for. I have the receipts, Raymond. Every mortgage payment, every utility bill, all from my account. The judge agreed with me. This is crazy. You're being crazy. Let me in so we can talk about this like adults. We can talk, through the door. Denise, please. His voice changed, got softer. The manipulation voice, the one he used when he wanted something. I know things haven't been perfect, but we can work through this. Let's just talk. I'll explain everything. Okay. Explain Monica. Silence. Explain how you've been sleeping with her for 2.5 years. Explain the baby she's carrying. Explain the engagement ring you bought her. More silence. Explain the $78,000 in credit cards you opened in my name. Explain the $45,000 you gambled away. Explain the $50,000 you sent to her for apartment deposits and baby furniture. How do you know all that? Raymond, I'm a forensic accountant. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you really think you could hide money from someone who traces money for a living? I heard something that might have been a laugh, or maybe a sob, hard to tell through the door. Baby, listen. Monica means nothing. It was a mistake. She came on to me and I was weak and... She means nothing. You bought her a ring. Raymond, you set up a nursery. You told her she was getting this house. I was lying to her. I was never going to leave you. I swear. I love you. I laughed. Couldn't help it. The audacity of this man. You love me. That's why you planned to serve me divorce papers while I was recovering from surgery. That's why you texted her about how I'd be too weak to fight. You went through my phone. You left it unlocked the night before my surgery. While you were asleep dreaming about your new life with your new woman, your phone was showing me every single lie you ever told. Another long pause. Denise, let me in. Please. We can fix this. No, we can't. You can pick up your boxes from the garage. Your golf clubs are on the porch. You have until the sprinklers come on at 9 to get your things. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, Raymond. Maybe Monica has room. Oh, wait, you probably can't afford her apartment anymore since I froze all the accounts. You what? Froze the accounts, all of them, including that secret one you thought I didn't know about. The $47,000 you've been hiding Judge froze that too. You can't touch a penny until we settle the divorce. I heard something hit the door, his fist probably. This isn't over, Denise. I'll get a lawyer. I'll fight this. Go ahead. Get a lawyer. But Raymond, when you talk to that lawyer, make sure you tell them about the credit card fraud. Because that's not just a divorce issue. That's a felony. That's prison time. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? After everything you've done, after you tried to steal my house, my money, my future, after you planned to leave me broken and bleeding while you played happy family with another woman? I pressed my hand against the door, like I could feel him on the other side. The man I thought I loved, the man who never existed. I'm not the woman you thought I was, Raymond. I'm not soft, I'm not naive, and I'm definitely not weak. You wanted to destroy me. You failed. Now I'm going to destroy you instead, and I'm going to do it legally, financially, and completely. Denise, get off my property. You have 2 hours. I walked away from the door, sat back down with my wine. Tamara was looking at me with something like admiration. That was incredible, she whispered. That was necessary. Through the window, I watched Raymond walk back to his car, watched him sit there for a long time, watched him make phone calls, probably to Monica, probably to his mama. Let them panic. Let them all panic. 2 hours later, the sprinklers came on. Raymond had taken his boxes, taken his golf clubs, left behind the life he thought he was going to steal. I stood at the window and watched the water spray across my lawn, my house, my future. Raymond thought he was going to leave me with nothing. Instead, he left with nothing. And this was just the beginning. The court battle was still to come, the divorce hearing, the testimony, the final reckoning where everything would be laid out in front of a judge. But I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't the woman crying on a bathroom floor at 2 a.m. I was Denise Carter, forensic accountant, fighter, survivor, and I was just getting started. 3 weeks after I changed those locks, I walked into the family courthouse wearing a navy blue dress I'd bought specifically for this day. Professional, confident, the kind of outfit that said, I'm not here to play games. I'm here to win. Tamara walked beside me, her briefcase full of evidence. 3 weeks of preparation. 3 weeks of documenting every lie Raymond had ever told. 3 weeks of building a case so airtight that no judge in the world could side with him. My sister circle was there too. Pat, Sharon, Rochelle. They sat in the gallery like my personal army. Mama was there dressed in her Sunday best, her Bible in her purse, just in case she needed to pray Raymond into oblivion. And then there was Raymond. He walked in looking like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. Probably hadn't. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were red. He had a lawyer with him, some guy he'd found at the last minute after 3 other attorneys turned him down. Turned out, nobody wanted to represent a man facing fraud charges and a mountain of evidence against him. His mother Lenora was there too, sitting behind him. She shot me a look as I walked past. Pure hatred, like I was the one who destroyed her family instead of her son. Monica wasn't there. I'd heard through the grapevine that she'd moved back to her parents' house in North Carolina once she found out Raymond was broke. The fairy tale he'd promised her fell apart the minute the money dried up. Funny how that works. The judge came in at 9:30 sharp. Honorable Patricia Williams. Black woman mid-50s known for being fair but having zero tolerance for nonsense. Exactly the kind of judge I wanted. This is the matter of Carter versus Carter, the clerk announced. Petition for divorce division of marital assets and related claims. Judge Williams looked at both of us over her reading glasses. I've reviewed the filings. This is one of the more extensive evidence packages I've seen in a divorce proceeding. She turned to Raymond's lawyer. Counselor, is your client prepared to proceed? Raymond's lawyer stood up. Young guy, clearly nervous. Your Honor, my client would like to request a continuance. We haven't had adequate time to review all the evidence presented by the petitioner. Tamara was on her feet immediately. Your Honor, the respondent has had 3 weeks. The evidence we've presented is straightforward financial documentation, bank statements, credit card records, text messages. There's nothing complex here, just a clear pattern of fraud and deception. Judge Williams nodded slowly. Motion for continuance is denied. We're proceeding today. Let's get started. I took a deep breath. This was it. 3 weeks of preparation. 12 years of marriage. A lifetime of trust broken. Time to get my life back. Tamara stood first. Your Honor, I'd like to start by establishing the financial foundation of this marriage. She walked to the evidence table and picked up a thick binder. This binder contains every bank statement from the joint accounts of Denise and Raymond Carter for the past 5 years. I'd like to direct the court's attention to the deposit patterns. The screen in the courtroom lit up with charts and graphs. My work. I'd prepared those spreadsheets myself. As you can see, Mrs. Carter deposited $647,000 into the joint accounts over this 5-year period. Mr. Carter deposited $84,000. That's a ratio of roughly 87% to 13%. Tamara let that sink in. In other words, Your Honor, for every dollar that went into this marriage, Mrs. Carter contributed 87 cents. Mr. Carter contributed 13 cents, yet he's requesting 50% of all marital assets. Raymond shifted in his seat. His lawyer was scribbling notes furiously. But that's not the most troubling part, Tamara continued. The most troubling part is what Mr. Carter did with the money he didn't deposit. She clicked to the next slide. Gambling apps, transfers, cash withdrawals. Over the past 3 years, Mr. Carter withdrew $45,000 from joint accounts and deposited it into online gambling applications. He lost all of it, every penny. Lenora made a sound from the gallery. I didn't turn around. Additionally, Mr. Carter transferred $52,400 to a woman named Monica Hayes over a period of 18 months. Ms. Hayes is Mr. Carter's extramarital partner and is currently pregnant with his child. Now I heard gasps. The gallery was filling in the story. Raymond's dirty laundry aired out for everyone to see. But wait, Your Honor, there's more. Tamara clicked again. Credit card statements filled the screen. Mr. Carter opened 3 credit cards in his wife's name without her knowledge or consent. Total balance $78,000. These cards were used to pay for hotels, restaurants, jewelry, baby furniture, and an apartment deposit for his girlfriend. This isn't just dissipation of marital assets, Tamara said, her voice getting harder. This is fraud, criminal fraud. My client has filed a separate complaint with law enforcement, and that investigation is ongoing. Raymond's lawyer jumped up. Objection, Your Honor. The criminal matter is separate from these proceedings. Overruled. The evidence is relevant to the division of assets. Continue, Counselor. Tamara nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. Finally, I'd like to address the marital home. She pulled out the property documents, the deed, the mortgage statements, my grandmother's inheritance check. The Carter residence was purchased 8 years ago for $385,000. The down payment of $95,000 came from Mrs. Carter's inheritance money left to her by her grandmother. This was separate property that she brought into the marriage. Furthermore, every single mortgage payment for the past 8 years has come from Mrs. Carter's personal account. Mr. Carter has never contributed $1 to the mortgage. Tamara set down the papers. Your Honor, we're not here to divide a marriage. We're here to correct an injustice. Raymond Carter contributed almost nothing to this union while systematically stealing from his wife. He gambled away their savings. He spent their money on another woman. He committed fraud using her identity, and now he wants half of everything she worked for. She looked at me, then back at the judge. We're asking the court to award Mrs. Carter 85% of the marital home equity full ownership of all accounts currently in her name and to hold Mr. Carter solely responsible for all debts he incurred through fraud and misrepresentation. We're also requesting that Mr. Carter reimburse Mrs. Carter for the funds he transferred to his girlfriend, as those constitute dissipation of marital assets. Tamara sat down. The courtroom was silent. Judge Williams turned to Raymond's lawyer. "Your response, counselor." The young lawyer stood up. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else in the world. "Your Honor, my client acknowledges that mistakes were made, but he was a contributor to this marriage in non-financial ways. He provided emotional support. He helped maintain the household. Counselor," Judge Williams interrupted. "Do you have any financial evidence to counter what's been presented?" "Well, no, Your Honor, but..." "Do you have any evidence that your client did not open credit cards in his wife's name?" "No, Your Honor." "Do you have any evidence that your client did not gamble away $45,000 of marital funds?" "No, Your Honor." "Do you have any evidence that your client did not send $52,000 to his extramarital partner?" Silence. "Then what exactly are you arguing?" Raymond's lawyer sat down. He had nothing, because there was nothing to argue. The evidence was overwhelming. Judge Williams turned to Raymond. "Mr. Carter, would you like to make a statement before I rule?" Raymond stood up slowly. He looked at me for the first time since the hearing started. His eyes were different, desperate, broken. "Denise, please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But 12 years has to mean something. We built a life together. We were supposed to grow old together. Please don't do this." I stood up. Tamara tried to stop me, but I shook my head. I needed to say this. 12 years, Raymond. You're right. 12 years of me working double shifts while you gambled. 12 years of me paying every bill while you spent money on other women. 12 years of me believing every lie you told. My voice was steady. I'd practiced this moment in my head 1,000 times. You want to know what 12 years means? It means I paid off $67,000 of your student loans. It means I funded 3 of your failed businesses. It means I put $95,000 down on a house you never paid a penny toward. It means I gave you everything I had while you were planning to throw me away like garbage. I took a step closer. You were going to serve me divorce papers while I was recovering from surgery. You told your girlfriend I'd be too weak to fight. You thought you were going to take my house, my money, everything I worked for, and leave me with nothing. I pointed at him. You forgot one thing, Raymond. I'm not weak. I was never weak. I was loyal. I was trusting. I was everything a wife is supposed to be. And you took advantage of that. I turned back to the judge. Your Honor, I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for justice. I'm asking for what's mine, what I earned, what I built. I'm asking for this court to see what he did and make it right. Then I sat down. The courtroom was silent. Even Lenora had stopped glaring. Judge Williams removed her glasses, rubbed her eyes, put them back on. I've seen a lot of divorce cases in my 20 years on the bench. This one is particularly egregious. She looked directly at Raymond. Mr. Carter, you systematically deceived your wife. You stole from her. You committed fraud using her identity. You depleted marital assets through gambling and adultery. And you planned to maximize your theft by timing your departure to coincide with her medical vulnerability. Her voice got harder. That's not just grounds for divorce. That's predatory behavior, and this court will not reward it. She picked up her pen. Here's my ruling. Judge Williams read from the notes she'd been making throughout the hearing. Regarding the marital home, the evidence clearly shows that the down payment came from Mrs. Carter's separate property, specifically an inheritance from her grandmother. The evidence further shows that every mortgage payment for the past 8 years came from Mrs. Carter's individual income. Mr. Carter contributed nothing. She looked up at Raymond. In light of this, I'm awarding Mrs. Carter 90% of the home equity. Mr. Carter will receive 10%, which is generous given his complete lack of financial contribution. 90%. I heard Mama whisper, "Thank you, Jesus," from behind me. Current home value has been established at $480,000. Remaining mortgage is $160,000. That's $320,000 in equity. Mrs. Carter will receive $288,000. Mr. Carter will receive $32,000. Raymond's lawyer started to stand. Judge Williams held up her hand. I'm not finished. He sat back down. Regarding the joint accounts, Mr. Carter systematically depleted these accounts through gambling and transfers to his extramarital partner. This constitutes dissipation of marital assets. Mrs. Carter is entitled to recover these amounts. She checked her notes. Gambling losses documented at $45,000. Transfers to Monica Hayes totaling $52,400. Mr. Carter owes Mrs. Carter half of these amounts totaling $48,700. This will be deducted from his share of marital assets. I did the math in my head. His $32,000 from the house minus the $48,000 he owed me. He was already in the negative. Regarding the fraudulent credit cards, 3 cards were opened in Mrs. Carter's name without her knowledge or consent, totaling $78,000 in debt. This was not authorized by Mrs. Carter. This was fraud. Judge Williams removed her glasses again. Mr. Carter, I want to be very clear about this. You committed a crime. The fact that your wife was your victim doesn't make it any less criminal. The separate investigation into this matter will proceed and you may face prosecution. Raymond had gone pale. His lawyer was whispering something to him, but Raymond wasn't responding. He was staring straight ahead like a man watching his life collapse. For the purposes of this divorce, Mr. Carter will be solely responsible for all debt on these cards. Mrs. Carter bears no liability. Additionally, Mr. Carter will reimburse Mrs. Carter for any payments she made toward these cards before discovering the fraud. Tamara squeezed my hand under the table. Regarding the secret account, evidence shows Mr. Carter maintained a hidden savings account containing $47,000. This is marital property that was deliberately concealed. The full amount is awarded to Mrs. Carter as compensation for Mr. Carter's financial deception. $47,000. Mine. Not split. All of it. Now let's tally this up, Judge Williams said. Mrs. Carter receives $288,000 from the home, $47,000 from the hidden account, $48,700 in reimbursement for dissipated assets. Total award to Mrs. Carter, $383,700. $383,000. Mr. Carter receives $32,000 from the home, minus the $48,000 he owes in reimbursement. He is responsible for $78,000 in fraudulent debt. Final position for Mr. Carter, negative $94,000. Negative. Raymond wasn't getting anything. He was leaving this marriage owing money. Additionally, Judge Williams continued, Mrs. Carter will retain exclusive ownership of the marital home. Mr. Carter has forfeited any claim through his misconduct. The vehicles titled in Mrs. Carter's name remain hers. The vehicles titled in Mr. Carter's name remain his along with any associated debt. Raymond's lawyer finally found his voice. Your Honor, this ruling is extraordinarily punitive. My client will be left with nothing. Judge Williams looked at him with something like pity. Counselor, your client was planning to leave his wife with nothing while she recovered from major surgery. He stole from her. He lied to her. He betrayed her in every way possible. This ruling isn't punitive, it's corrective. She turned to me. Mrs. Carter, do you have anything else to add? I stood up. No, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Carter. Raymond didn't stand. He just sat there deflated. His mother was crying in the gallery. Not for me, for him. For her precious son who had finally faced consequences for his actions. Very well. Divorce is granted. This ruling is effective immediately. Mr. Carter has 30 days to make arrangements for the financial settlements outlined here. Failure to comply will result in contempt charges. She banged her gavel. Court is adjourned. It was over. 12 years of marriage ended in one morning. 3 weeks of preparation vindicated in one ruling. A lifetime of being underestimated corrected in one verdict. I stood up and hugged Tamara. Pat was crying in the gallery. Rochelle was grinning like she'd won the lottery. Sharon was taking notes, probably already thinking about other women she could help. Mama pushed through the little gate that separated the gallery from the court area. She grabbed me and held on tight. Baby, your grandmother would be so proud. She gave you that money so you could build a life. And you did. You built it all by yourself. That man didn't deserve you. He never deserved you. I looked over at Raymond. He was still sitting at the defense table. His lawyer was packing up, probably relieved to be done with this case. Lenora was standing behind him, her hand on his shoulder, telling him it would be okay. It wouldn't be okay. Not for him. He was leaving this courthouse with nothing but debt and the consequences of his own choices. He looked up and caught my eye. For a second, I thought he might say something. Apologize, maybe. Or beg one more time. Instead, he just shook his head slowly. Like he still couldn't believe it. Like he still thought he was the victim in all this. That's the thing about people like Raymond. They never see themselves clearly. They never understand that their actions have consequences. They go through life taking and taking and taking, and when someone finally says no, they act shocked. I wasn't shocked. I knew exactly who he was now, and I knew exactly who I was. I was Denise Carter. I was a survivor. I was a woman who fought back, and I had won. We walked out of that courthouse into bright sunshine, the kind of day that feels like a fresh start, like God himself cleared the clouds to celebrate. Pat hugged me. Girl, that was the most satisfying thing I've ever witnessed. The look on his face when she said -94,000, I wish I could frame it. Sharon laughed. I'm using this case as a template. Every woman going through a divorce needs to see how it's done. Rochelle grabbed my arm. We're celebrating tonight. My salon. After hours, wine and food and dancing. You just took your life back, Denise. That deserves a party. I smiled. My first real smile in weeks. Okay, but first I need to do something. I pulled out my phone, called the hospital. Hi, I need to reschedule a surgery. My name is Denise Carter. I had to cancel a hysterectomy about a month ago. Yes, I'm ready to reschedule now. The situation that caused the delay has been resolved. Because that was the other thing. I still needed that surgery. My body still needed healing. But now I could do it on my terms, without worrying about Raymond stealing from me while I recovered, without wondering if I'd have a home to come back to. I could heal in peace. And that was worth more than any amount of money. Let me tell you what happened to everyone after that courthouse day. Raymond moved in with his mother, a 40-year-old man living in his mama's spare bedroom because he couldn't afford anything else. The debt from those fraudulent credit cards followed him. The child support Monica eventually filed for followed him too. Last I heard, he was working at an electronics store making a fraction of what he used to make garnished wages, going to pay back everything he owed. His company fired him 2 weeks after the divorce. Turns out Pat's anonymous tip about his fake expense reports triggered a full audit. They found years of fraudulent claims, business trips that never happened, client dinners that were actually dates with Monica. He didn't just lose his job, he lost his entire career. No one in medical equipment sales would touch him after that. Monica had her baby, a little girl. She named her something fancy, I don't remember what. But Raymond wasn't there for the birth. Wasn't there for anything. He visited once apparently, and Monica's father ran him off the property. She's raising that baby with her parents' help, working as a pharmaceutical rep and learning the hard way that the man who cheats with you will eventually cheat on you. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered those text messages, the ones where she laughed about me being too stupid to know what was happening, the ones where she called me the obstacle to their happiness. She made her choices. Now she's living with them. Lenora stopped going to church, at least the church we all attended. Word got around about what Raymond did, how he stole from his wife, how he cheated, how he planned to leave her while she was recovering from surgery. Church folks talk, and none of them talked kindly about Raymond or the mother who enabled him. I heard Lenora tells people I ruined her son, that I destroyed her family, that I was vindictive and cold. Let her talk. The truth is documented in court records. Anyone who wants to know what really happened can look it up. Tasha Raymond's sister sent me a message about a month after the divorce, wanted to know if we could let bygones be bygones and move forward as family. She also asked if I could help her with rent. I blocked her number. The fraud investigation moved forward. Raymond pleaded guilty to 2 counts of identity theft and 1 count of fraud. The judge gave him 3 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and ordered full restitution. He'll be paying off those credit cards for the next decade. I got updates from Tamara. She said Raymond tried to appeal the divorce ruling, got laughed out of court. No appellate judge was going to overturn such a well-documented case. He's still paying me. Every month a check arrives, part of the settlement, part of his consequences. I deposit it without thinking about it now. It's not about the money anymore. It's about justice. It's about a man facing the results of his choices. As for me, I had my surgery 6 weeks after the divorce was final. It was different this time. I wasn't scared. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried about what Raymond might do while I was unconscious. My sister circle took shifts at the hospital. Mama stayed with me the whole time. Pat brought her laptop and worked from my room. Rochelle brought enough food to feed the whole nursing staff. Sharon came with flowers every single day. I woke up from surgery surrounded by people who actually loved me. Not the performance of love that Raymond gave. Real love. The kind that shows up. The kind that stays. Recovery was hard. I won't lie about that. 6 weeks of taking it easy. Of letting other people help me. Of accepting that I couldn't do everything myself. But I had help. Real help. Not the kind where someone promises to be there and then disappears. The kind where people actually show up. 3 months after surgery, I went back to work full-time. My boss had held my position. My clients were waiting. My career, the one I'd built with 14 years of hard work, was still there. Raymond couldn't take that from me. He couldn't take any of it in the end. The house, the money, the career, the friendships, the self-respect. Everything I built was still mine. A year passed, the best year of my life. I redecorated the house, every room. New colors, new furniture, new energy. I painted over the walls that had witnessed 12 years of lies. I threw out the bed we'd shared and bought one that was just for me. My health improved. Without the stress of Raymond, without the constant worry and suspicion, my body started healing itself. Blood pressure dropped. Energy increased. I started exercising again. Started eating better. Started sleeping through the night without waking up anxious. I got a promotion at work. Senior partner finally. The title I'd been working toward for years. The title I'd delayed chasing because Raymond always needed something. Now there was no one holding me back. I started a consulting business on the side. Financial forensics for women going through divorce. Helping them find hidden assets, trace suspicious transactions, understand what their husbands were really doing with the money. Turns out there are a lot of women like me. Women who trusted too much. Women whose husbands were running cons right under their noses. Women who needed someone to help them fight back. I became that someone. My first client was a woman named Angela. Her situation was almost identical to mine. Husband with a secret phone. Husband with a gambling problem. Husband who thought he could steal everything and leave her with nothing. I helped her find it all. The hidden accounts. The fraudulent transfers. The lies upon lies upon lies. She walked out of her divorce with 80% of everything. Her husband walked out with debt and consequences. She cried in my office afterward, told me I saved her life. No, I told her. You saved yourself. I just showed you how. That's what I do now. That's what Raymond's betrayal became. Something useful, something powerful, something that helps other women instead of just hurting me. He tried to destroy me. Instead, he gave me a purpose. Funny how that works. I'm sitting on my porch right now. My porch, my house, my life. It's a Sunday evening. The kind of evening where the sun is setting all orange and pink and the neighborhood is quiet and you can actually hear yourself think. My sister Circle was here earlier. We do Sunday dinners now, at my house, the house I kept, the house I fought for. Every Sunday they come over. Pat brings wine. Rochelle brings whatever she's experimenting with at the salon. Sharon brings real estate gossip. Tamara brings war stories from divorce court. We eat. We laugh. We talk about everything and nothing. And sometimes someone brings a friend. A woman who's going through something. A woman who needs to hear that she's not alone. A woman who needs to see that there's life on the other side of betrayal. We welcome her into the circle. We feed her. We listen. We tell her our stories. And then we help her fight. That's what we do now. That's who we are. A group of women who've been through hell and came out the other side with our heads high and our bank accounts intact. People ask me sometimes if I'm dating again, if I've moved on. If I'm looking for love, the answer is complicated. I'm not looking for anything. Not actively. I spent 12 years looking at Raymond and seeing something that wasn't there. I'm done looking. I'm done searching. I'm done trying to find my worth in someone else's eyes. But I'm also not closed off. If something comes along, something real, something honest, I'll consider it. I've learned enough to know what red flags look like. I've learned enough to know what questions to ask. I've learned enough to protect myself. And I've learned that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. I have my house, I have my career, I have my health, I have my friends, I have my mama, I have my purpose. I have everything I need. Someone asked me the other day what I would say to Raymond if I could say anything. If he was standing right in front of me and I had the chance to tell him everything I never got to say. I thought about it for a long time. All the anger I used to feel, all the hurt, all the betrayal. And you know what I realized? I don't have anything to say to him. Not anymore. Everything I needed to say, I said in that courtroom. Everything I needed to prove, I proved with evidence and spreadsheets and documentation. Raymond isn't a chapter in my story anymore. He's a footnote, a lesson I learned, a mistake I won't repeat. I don't hate him. I don't wish him harm. I just don't think about him at all. And that's the best revenge, isn't it? Not anger, not bitterness, just complete and total indifference. He wanted to break me. He failed. He wanted to take everything. He lost everything. He wanted to leave me with nothing. Instead, he left with nothing, and I'm still standing. So, if you're watching this and you're in a situation like I was, let me tell you something. You can survive this. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know it feels like the walls are closing in. I know it feels like he has all the power and you have none. But that's a lie. The same kind of lie he's been telling you all along. You have more power than you know. You have more strength than you realize. You have more options than he wants you to see. Start documenting every text, every email, every suspicious transaction, every lie you catch him in. Write it down, screenshot it, save it somewhere he can't find it. Build your team, find your sister circle, find your lawyer, find your accountant, find the people who will fight alongside you, protect your money. Separate what you can, move what you need to. Don't let him drain the accounts while you're figuring out your next move. And when you're ready, when you have your evidence and your team and your plan, strike. Strike hard. Strike fast. Strike without warning. Because men like Raymond, men like whoever is doing this to you, they count on you being passive. They count on you being scared. They count on you being too loyal and too loving and too trusting to fight back. Show them they miscalculated. Show them what a woman with nothing to lose can do. Show them that the wife they underestimated is the one who burns it all down. I found my husband's second phone the night before my surgery. What I discovered could have destroyed me, could have broken me, could have sent me into that operating room shattered and vulnerable and easy to finish off. Instead, it saved my life. It showed me who he really was. It showed me who I really was. It gave me the evidence I needed to take back everything he planned to steal. That phone was supposed to be his secret weapon. It became mine. So if you're sitting there tonight wondering if you should check his phone, wondering if you should look at those bank statements, wondering if you should trust your gut that's been screaming at you for months or years or decades, trust yourself. Look, find the truth, because the truth will hurt. I won't lie to you about that. The truth will feel like a knife in your chest. It will feel like the floor dropping out from under you. It will feel like dying, but it will also set you free. And on the other side of that pain is a life you can't even imagine right now. A life where you're not wondering, not suspecting, not walking on eggshells, not making yourself smaller so he can feel bigger. A life where you wake up in your own bed in your own house with your own money, living your own truth. That's what's waiting for you. I promise. I'm Denise Carter. I'm 39 years old now. I'm a forensic accountant, a survivor, a fighter, a woman who learned the hard way that the only person you can truly count on is yourself. My husband thought he could steal my future. He was wrong, and whoever is trying to steal yours, they're wrong too. So if this story meant something to you, if it gave you hope or courage or just the knowledge that you're not alone, do something for me. Share it. Share it with your sister who's always making excuses for her husband. Share it with your friend who's been looking tired and sad and quiet lately. Share it with your mama, your daughter, your niece, your coworker. Share it with every woman who needs to know that she's stronger than she thinks. Because we are stronger together. We are louder together. We are more powerful together than any man who tries to tear us down. That's how we win. Not alone. Together. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for being part of this community of survivors and fighters and women who refuse to be silent. Now go. Live your life. Protect your peace. Trust yourself. And if you ever need to burn it all down, you know how to reach me. This is Denise Carter, signing off.